Hey kids, do you love the city you live in? I sure do. Welcome to the MinMax challenge, the challenge where I always min roll and the enemies always max roll. We're hitting up the Urban Legend chapter today. Urban Legend bolsters some pretty gnarly general receptions, but honestly all the abnormalities are completely undercooked. Take for instance this guy. Heart of Aspiration and Goons roll so low that even my min rolls are enough to tie them. I really wish there was more to this fight other than just random bullshit go, but here we are. But little does Blood know that his abno pages are going to be what's going to carry me through this entire chapter. For starters, Pulsation is really good. It has the downside of exploding my nuggets whenever I am at the end of a reception and I somehow manage to kill the last remaining enemy without making everybody attack said enemy, but oh well. You have to crack some eggs, or 100 to get where you want to go. Urging gives me health and speed. It's okay. And then there's Fervent Beats. 4 strength, endurance, and all stagger resistance changing to ineffective is like insane, especially for this point in the game. Naturally, shortening your lifespan to 3 scenes is problematic, but surely I'll be able to kill everything in my path in that time. As a keen eye can see, my strategy for this fight is mainly just beat the crap out of the guy. He has block dice, sure, but they aren't ranged block dice or counter block dice, so I could just, do some clever targeting and just deal fatal damage to him without dealing with the block dice. It would be kind of crazy if they remade this fight in a endgame chapter, where it is equally as trivial because of an obscure game interaction. Anyway, there really isn't anything to see here, so let's just move on. If you can hear a faint meowing in the background, that is my cat going absolutely babarusa. Anyway, we botch a heart surgery and move on to the Zwei fixers. Why do I say it like that? Es ist Zwei. Es ist Zwei. Spricht es korrekt aus, verdammt. For the rest of the video, I'm just gonna speed up my turns because I keep damage calcing, which takes a while, and it's important to do that. Call it excessive, but there is a completely different fear that isn't just die power, it's damage creep actually. In case you're wondering, current me is hacking away at Urban Nightmare. And let me tell you, those unrollable die ranges, they hurt. A lot. While usually not very relevant for vanilla play, in this challenge I really do have to pay attention to what my resistances are. For example, the Zwei have a very pierce and slashed focused deck, so to not completely get bodied, I want to make sure that I'm at least normal to those. Anyway, I'll just quickly take a time to shout out Cooking Prep and Overpower. Those pages ever since Urban Myth have been like the backbone of my entire run so far. Did you notice how I'm sounding much more tired all of a sudden? Because there's like 10 hours between those two last sound splits actually. Anyway, here's our first Fervent Beats activation, which usually means that I can win every single clash. There is a slight problem with it, that sometimes I tend to get Fervent Beats like when I'm at very low stagger, where even if my resistance are ineffective, if I just get like bonked once or twice, then I'm done for. And losing an entire turn on Fervent Beats is not good. Anyway, thank you for having multiple acts for this fight for some reason. And down goes the Zwei Association, the first fight. Our reward for beating this fight is having to do the exact same fight again. So guess what? It's YouTube comment time. Actually, scratch that. It's Library of Ruina balancing tangent time. This comment is kind of true, especially in the mid-game, where enemies were not adjusted for any future balance changes that happened. As a result, even challenges like this are not enough to, like, make a meaningful difference. If things get too easy, I'll just throw another wrench in. I mean, I'm ready to axe attributions or object the art key pages, you know. I'm not usually a fan of moving goalposts, but I have to scratch the itch for a challenge, you know. I'm looking for just the right amount of excruciating torment. Why am I doing this to myself? My brother in Christ. I'm a Project Moon fan. Yep, Ruina AP is a real thing. You can play it right now, somewhat. It is, however, still very early in development, so do not put it in any like big multiverse or something. If you want to find out more information about how it works, you can go to the AP After Dark server, and in the Future Games Design channel, you'll find the Library of Ruina thread. I swear to you, like, once the mod has enough polish, I'll make a proper YouTube showcase of it. And then, like, if people are down for it, I honestly want to, like, host a big Library of Ruina multiworld. I think that would be very fun. Also, hi, Azzy, if you're watching this. How are you? Now, this isn't a YouTube comment, but I think it's funny if I bring it up. So, the Ruina content has been really popping off as of late. And because of that, I am now eligible for the YouTube Partner Program, which basically means I'll be able to monetize my content if I dare choose to do so, because I won't. Call it humble or idiotic, I don't really care. It's just a personal preference, really. Anyway, bouncing back to the game. We are fighting Zwei goobers and San. San can boost his endurance a bit here, but honestly, at this point I have mastered dealing with unreasonably high rolling evade dice. All I really have to do in this fight right now is hold out until I get fervent beats and then beat the ever-living crap out of these guys. The consequences of not having page draw is truly abysmal. So I'm fighting these guys. I looked at their key pages and they do have actually decent stats, so I'm just gonna pick them up for whatever reason. Anyway, here I really just need to clobber the bottom guy. After I'm done with that, I can just simply exit the fight and then just courtesy to no grind, burn a billion books. Don't tell anyone this, but I could have gotten Loosen Up right here. Up until now, I never realized that it's dropped from like every book ever. The difference between Loosen Up and Charge in this challenge are not really that big. They have the same minimum roll, and instead of like on use, it's on hit, light gain and Loosen Up. The real difference is that I don't get paralyzed, which means that I get to keep my speed for redirecting. Okay, maybe I should have paid more attention to the book drops, but I already had eyes on a completely different page that I was going to get to blow up Walter. It's Walter time. Well, in a second here. First and foremost, we have to do a recycled fight again. Yippee. So Walter is pretty scary. He has some pretty high rolling block die and evade die, and Isadora down there can buff Walter even further beyond. Fortunately, he has pretty low stagger and is weak to blunt, so all I have to do is get my fervent beats on Roland and then use Strong Strike, which is a page that exists. And once the first turn ends, it's Fervent Beats time. Okay, this is... Ow, I hit my desk. Okay, this is without a doubt the goofiest fight I've ever had in Ruina. So, I kinda forgot that Daring Decision is a page that exists, and... Ow. Owie, ow. Really, I was just hoping I could get Olga's key page, but I accidentally end up winning the fight again. But really, you wanna stick this one out to the end, because it has a very goofy ending. But yeah, the scary part in this fight really is just Daring Decision dealing 5 billion damage, as you can see. At this point, I also realized that I have Loosen Up, so loosen up. So Discard is kind of ass for like 90% of the game, until you get Brace Up and then like economy is fixed. However, these guys have like really good power stacking pages, so if I can defeat them, that'd be really good. What happens next is the most Looney Tunes-esque turns that I've ever had in Ruina. So I use my last turn of Fervent Beats to masterfully kill Olga and get Rain staggered. And then I of course draw 2 Appetites, which is not enough to kill, but inflicts a decent amount of bleed, and that's gonna do some damage here. Get Cooking Prep, take some damage. And now I just really need any page that kills, and of course I pull Dried Up, so I use Dried Up. And now I really need something that kills, and guess what? I draw Charge, and this is probably the highest Charge has ever rolled in its existence. What a nonsensical ending that was. It's dog time. So after a bit of more tinkering, you are going to point and laugh at the fact that Walter is standing right there, but really I just like need more firepower so I can like have Zulu unexist. Also, we finally have page draw. Somewhat. By which I mean we have margin, which is just going to give Olga at least 2 pages. Dude, Olga is just so good. Like, Dried Up into Daring Decision is like almost a deck in the game. Also shoutouts to this guy for surviving on 1 HP and griefing my entire team of like most of the HP. So far this fight has not been going too great, unfortunately. So I'm definitely not going to get the cleanness award. Now for the 3 main guys. Zulu has like world-destroying die ranges, so Zulu needs to go first. However, Gyeongmi also has like really nasty stuff with Scratch Up and Brawl into Scratch Up and Brawl into Brawl. Dino on the other hand just kind of exists. He doesn't really do all that much. Unfortunately, due to some speed die shenanigans, I do falter here. Thank one Sin, though, for having another act for this fight. Otherwise, this would have been rather troublesome. It is abnormality cleanup time. Yippee! Like I said at the start of the video, these are completely undercooked and way too easy, even on this challenge. But I will give shout out to this first one. Olga really pops off here. Anyway, like, nothing exciting is going to happen for the rest of the video, so watch time be damned, you might as well click off right now. But you'll miss me yapping about abnormality pages, which is definitely what you're here for. So, starting off with Fragment of the Universe, Echoes of the Beyond is the page that I hate the most in the entire game. Not because it's a bad page, but because it's actually an okay page. And it has no rights of being okay. The reason why Echoes of the Beyond is actually decent is because you can draw it in your like second or third scene where you've already lost some stagger, and like every other option is like objectively worse. And yeah, I guess you could build like some piercer floor, and that's like cute and all, but really your win condition is either gonna be incomprehensible or Spring's Genesis. And if you're going for the latter, Echoes of the Beyond just happens to be a really good momentum page. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It has no rights of being like an actual usable page on this floor, because you read the text and it's like, wow, this sucks. But what are your other options? Elation? Thorns? Tentacles? The only other like tier 1 page that is like remotely good for this floor is Laughing Powder. So, hooray. On second thought, maybe it's not Echoes from the Beyond's fault. Maybe it's Spring's Genesis' fault for existing. I can't name a singular use case for tentacles in vanilla play. It helps for some modded bosses that have like a million stagger. But again, it doesn't matter how much stagger the enemy has if you're immortal. I am sure one tentacle enthusiast can write up a 20-paragraph comment that will explain how good tentacles is to me, so I cannot read it and ignore it. Incomprehensible though. Incomprehensible. Me and Incomprehensible go way back, dude. And it's like the most secretly busted page ever. I swear I never hear people talking about Incomprehensible for some reason. Like, damn, it's really effective on like single target bosses. It basically gives you like a pocket pierce PT. But you know, Spring's Genesis. Oh look, it's Reddit. To make a long story short, recharge is smoker stonks, repetitive pattern recognition is eco stonks, and clean is myongest stonks. I don't really have much to say about these. So I didn't actually first try this fight, but muhahaha, with the power of editing, I'm just gonna make it appear like it is first try. Okay, so I like to talk smack about Pebble, but Pebble isn't actually all that bad. If you have the know-how how to make a very tight-knit deck, Pebble can actually be like just straight up a health hauler replacement, to the point where you're just like genning massive amount of health every turn. It's neat, but nothing to write home about. Though, because in this challenge I'm not using Spring's Genesis, things might change a little, so Pebble might actually have a legitimate use case later on. Teardrop basically has no downside, as long as you just win the fight, kind of. I already said that die power isn't all that important to this floor, but you can stack it with Elation, kind of. And then you have like 2 power, and that's like almost good enough to equal a single page from the hard floor. A Token of Friendship is in the same boat as Echoes from the Beyond, but it's usually way better. For vanilla strategies, it's your crossover page into Spring's Genesis. And for this challenge, it's mainly gonna be like a lifeline to not absolutely get bodied. Anyway, that's about all the yapping I can do for this video. There will only be one upload this week because I may or may not have gotten a bit distracted. But don't worry, I'll log in the next week, I swear. Until then, see ya.